Mark from the States, Mark from the States, it's Mark from the United States.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Mark from the States. How we doing today? I am doing fantastic. I hope you are as well. Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate each and every one of you. Just been truly amazing, and it's been so cool just seeing all the stuff with all of you. Today we're going to watch Secrets of a Medieval Castle. This is History Squad. We've done a few from him. He's very good, and I enjoy watching his stuff. This is going to be 2 parts, so please stay tuned for the second part, which would be probably coming tomorrow, I imagine. So, without further ado, get on this big fake couch. You know the drill. I have Leo behind me today, and Secrets of a Medieval Castle. It's gorgeous, though. Look at that.
Hi, my name's Kevin Hicks. Welcome to my YouTube channel, The History Squad. We're on a day out today because we're right on the borders of England across the river and Wales over this side. We are visiting my favourite castle of all times, Chepstow Castle, and you can see it just behind me.
Chepstow. All right.
So, we're at the entrance to the castle, the gatehouse, but there's a bit missing. Now, keep focused. Gate. Rubble. Something's missing here. If you follow the foundations, it comes to here, goes all the way across here, and somewhere along here, or hanging out over the mighty cliff, there was a platform and a door, and you had to come with your wagon and have a tight turn to get in. Now, this is a design, I understand, from the Middle East. So Crusaders who came back, they came back with knowledge. But people get things wrong about this castle. We're going to have a closer look at what will stop you getting in. Come and have a look. The top of the castle here were machicolations, wooden roofed hoardings, those kind of things where you could drop things down on the enemy, you could shoot them. But then if you come a little bit further, the murder holes, right at the top here, the stone murder holes.
Oh, God.
Yeah, but people think that these 2 holes here were murder holes. But they're not. What the 2 holes were for were great big stone counterweights, because Chepstow Castle had 2 giant portcullis. It didn't have a moat around it. It had a ditch around it, but not a moat, because the water would just flow down the cliff next to us into the River Wye. But I've got permission to close these doors, so just wait there a moment. Can I borrow the key? Can I close one of the doors? So these castle doors have been remade by the British Army in the 60s. The originals are still in the castle, but have a look, the outside of these doors. That's shod in iron. So you have a massive portcullis in front of you, doors shod in iron, but come behind them and have a look at the construction. I love these doors. How about that for a set of doors? Amazing. And this is the door key. Isn't that great? And there you can see the portcullis behind. And they still work. Come and have a look at these. These are called put lugs. And if I show you behind the other door quickly, the put lugs here went all the way into the guard room. So they just shoved them all the way through that hole behind the doors and then sealed them. And when the portcullis was down here, you can only open the doors so far anyhow. Oh gosh. But on a daily basis, these doors were kept shut. They used to have a smaller door in them. That was the wicket gate. But I'll show you an original in a bit. So all this is open now. Used to be inside a building. The remains of it are here, a guard room. And if you look up, you can see where the portcullis went, the fireplace for one of the upper stories. And just here, you can see where the archway used to go across. So much of the castle missing, but so much of it is still here. Let's have a little look in the shop, shall we? So just as you come into the shop part of the castle, right, there's actually a little turning here. This used to be a garderobe here, a toilet that emptied straight out into the river. People call this the dungeon. We don't know for sure. And there are a few clues as to, what must it have been? The floor's changed because here, if you look around, over there is a beam, a put lug, as they call it. Put a log. That comes across here to there. So either you had to stoop down, the floor was lower, or was it just half a shelf for sleeping? And then the rest of it was storage. Also here, this is actually a chimney. This is a stone fireplace just here. And you can see this goes all the way up to the top of the castle. So a lot of people say, oh, the dungeon. I actually, all right, then, maybe a prison, temporary prison. Or was it a storeroom? Was it part of the guard room? Were weapons kept in here? Whichever it was, it's a great little room. And I've made many a heart leap in here by telling a ghost story or two. But we're going to move through now. Let's go and have a look at the kitchens. So here we are in the kitchen, and you've got evidence here of where they used to have the big pottage bowls. But this room has changed so much. If you look up there, you can see there's an original archway that's been blocked up because we're actually in the cellar part. The main kitchens were also upstairs as well, but it's changed so much over the centuries that it became an enormous affair. But my favourite part of this, follow me. This is the very spot where the last person to be killed in action was killed here during the attack, 25th of May, 1648. It was a royalist officer apparently, and it was a sword fight against one of the parliamentarian officers, and he died on this very spot. These little bits of history that I've learnt over the decades, they're a treasure. But we're going to have a look in here. Come follow me. So this is all part of the kitchen. Yeah, you've got cupboards here built into the walls. In this little room here, this is a full garderobe. This is where you could sit and take what we call a tom titty. This is the bathroom, the toilet. And if you look down, you can see where your sewage, your poop, your whatever, would actually fall straight into the River Wye. And it was also the place where you put your clothing to hang. These were not rough rooms. They were plastered, painted white, there were hangers and things, and the breeze would actually dry clothing, and it would also, with the smell of urine, so I understand, kill the fleas that live on your clothes. But during a siege, an attack, put a lid over this, lock it so nobody can get up. And also you have a firing position or a shooting position, either for musket or crossbow. And if you look through one of these windows, you can see across the River Wye into England. So we're going to get down into the cellars. You have to be careful because I want Julie to focus on an extra piece here. So if you follow me to the edge of the steps, let's have a look up. The roofing here, it's extremely rare to see this combination of roofing. This holds up an entire great hall. But now let's step outside. Now look at this for a view. This is how the castle controlled the traffic going up and down the River Wye. Not just from the battlements, but from this position here. Bowmen, crossbowmen, gunners later on can sink any ship that tried to sneak by. And it's a fascinating thing because I asked the question, all right, you've got a cog like my world famous Thomas. He sails up there, but he has to turn around. How'd they do it? And this is another learning curve for Kev. They would sail in on high tide, anchor, boats would be rowed out from underneath the castle. Have a look at this. Have a look down there, all the way down. Right at the bottom there is an inlet under the castle, which was where they kept the castle boats. So the ship would drop anchor, boats would row out, fill up with supplies, come all the way back in. Then there was a great big jib overhanging the castle up here that lowered down the nets, and then men running in great big wheels would hoist it all the way back up, either to the wine cellar down below, the food cellar, which we're going to have a look in a minute. But it's how the ship turned around that gets me. So it would wait. High tide, it's come in, then the tide goes down. And as the tide goes out, they lift the fore anchor, and the actual tide turns the ship around. And then they simply get swept out to sea. Wow. Yeah, some of the things I'm learning. But let's go down into the cellars. It's quite interesting.
I love this guy.
So here we are in the cellars. We have the echo. Yeah, this is where the food was stored. Originally, of course, they were all plastered, nice and clean. There were wooden beams across to hang like smoked ham and things. But this room, people, once again, they miss a lot. Come over here and have a look at this. So this is a working room. But look at the finial here. This 800 years, look at the shape of it now. All of this. And if you follow this all the way up to the cross part, I always ask the question, how did they build it? Well, this was built when the castle had no top to this part. The Great Hall is above us. So this is an open space. It's also a canyon where a river a tributary of the river comes underneath the castle. So they built a massive bridge, a stone bridge across it. Then they put this floor. Then they built the walls. Then they built all of the arches. But I asked the question, how'd they keep the arches up there? And what I was told blew my mind. So you get up to here, no problems. These go back into the wall almost a meter. But it's when you get a little bit higher, the stonemasons set the stone, but they'd filled the room with soil. They're actually standing up there. When they get to the very top, they are poking up out of the top, and they simply left it to dry. Then, manpower not being a problem, they took all of the soil out, and you had all of these ribs and arches, and then they infilled them from the top, and then poured concrete, would you believe, into the voids, and then the Great Hall could be built on top of it. We often think we're clever, don't we, of the modern age? But when I was told how this was actually built, wow.
Wow is right. Gonna stop right there. We'll finish the rest of it tomorrow. But Secrets of a Medieval Castle. I enjoy Kevin Hicks. He's a great presenter. He's a veteran, obviously. I knew that before I saw his hat, though, just FYI. And it does really make you wonder how they built these things back then. Of course, manpower, like you said, not a problem. There's so many people they forced to do it, or who want to do it. I don't know. But that's interesting how they do they don't have ladders, I guess. And to be able to get the stones up that high, they just fill the room up. Perfect. Perfect. I didn't even think of that. Because, my modern brain is like, why would they? God, that's so much work. But they've got people to do all that stuff. Very cool. Very cool. Thank you for this suggestion. This has been enjoyable so far. So thank you. I hope everybody's happy, healthy, and safe. And hopefully you'll come back tomorrow and finish this. And we'll talk to you then. All right. Take care. Bye.
Mark from the States, Mark from the States, it's Mark